Hmm.
others might call it enlightenment, but it was just really, I could see how I was being with my energy and where I was allowing my energy to go to, how I was either in allowing negativity to come in or positivity. And I would also see there was a moment where I really understood manifesting and understood that everything that we want is already here.
It's Retreat and Grow Rich, the podcast. I'm Darla LeDoux, best-selling author, coach, and retreat leader, and I'm on a mission to normalize transformation on the planet, one intimate retreat at a time. This show's dedicated to the coaches, consultants, healers, leaders, and light workers who are here to hold space for the truth that transforms lives and get paid for it. Expert retreat and business tips, strategies, stories, and magic. It's your weekly mini retreat delivered right to your ears. Let's do this. Okay, welcome, Carolin. It's so great to be with you. Welcome, everyone, to the Retreat and Grow Rich podcast in our episode about pleasure IQ. So I'm going to be learning right along with you what the pleasure IQ is. I'm personally really excited about this topic, as I was sharing with you, Carolin. I've been working on pleasure and using all my senses, and I've been talking a lot in my business about relationship to time and not rushing through time or surviving time, but finding pleasure in wherever you are in the moment. So I'm excited to learn from you. And let me just tell people a little bit about you. So Carolin Hauser-Carson is a German-trained naturopath doctor, humanistic psychotherapist, and family constellation facilitator. I met someone recently who does that. She's the author of the book Blossom, Your 7-Step Journey to Healing Childhood Sexual Abuse and Creating Your Dream Life. An internationally recognized speaker and teacher on the subjects of spirituality, emotional healing, and women's empowerment for almost a decade, Carolin established empoweredbusinesswoman.com in 2008 and the Blossom Journey telecourse in 2010. She created a very unique virtual business model which allows her to share her knowledge with more people than she ever could personally see in a day. She began to write her book, develop products, and speak on her approach to life and powerfully creating life, deep personal transformation, and connected purpose. Today, she combines knowledge about emotional healing, spiritual truth, and authentic business building to help women connect to their life's mission that spurs truly fulfilling careers, like truly fulfilling, amazing contributions, and abundance in the areas of health and relationships. Her work is based on the intersection of where the human body and experience meets past and even ancestral trauma, and shows how each individual's authentic and true self is a source of one's own good, a place of unlimited abundance, creativity, courage, and joyful existence. So I know you're totally speaking the language of our listeners, more joy, more self-expression, more authenticity, and our listeners know that's an inner journey to bring that to the world, that it's not like, oh, here you are, here's your thing, we found alignment, now you're good, you're done. But it's a continual deepening of the journey. So I'm super excited to hear your perspective on this, and your background is amazing. I'm totally lit up. So tell me, Carolin, a little bit about what are you excited about right now? Let's start there.
Oh, I'm excited about, actually, the reason why you see this behind you is I am in the tropics, and this is in the tropics where we are. It's a hurricane area, so you can only have this kind of roof, a palapa roof. And I'm very excited to be here and to get to spend more time here very soon, actually. So that's what I'm excited about. And I do my retreats here too. And yeah, I feel like a lot of good things are going to come from me being in this location.
Beautiful. We have held 2 retreats in Tulum, and we came back. I've never really been drawn back to the same location multiple times, but there was something in the energy there that captured my heart. So we plan to keep coming back regularly. What is it that you're feeling or experiencing about being there?
You know, I was really, really sick about 5.5 years ago. So I had like a physical, mental, emotional breakdown. I had 2 kids at the time. My second child was just 2 years old, and I was in a marriage that wasn't my soulmate. I wasn't, you know, my kid's father is not my soulmate, really. I mean, he's some soulmate, but not the love of my life. Let's put it that way. And we were going through bankruptcy, and it's just a lot of stress. And I had a lot of days where I was just laying on the couch and couldn't do anything, and all I wanted was to live in a tropical place. And I had actually never been in a tropical place. I'd never been to Hawaii. I didn't even know this place existed. But all I could fantasize about was living in nature under a palapa roof. I didn't even know that that's what that was called, you know? So
isn't that interesting that you'd never been anywhere, but yet you could feel that pull so strongly?
I could feel it. So my body just feels really good when I'm here. You know, I could just, it's like an out breath. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, the turning point was literally one evening, my then husband coming home, and I just told him I was home with the kids, you know, and I had no energy. I couldn't take care of them. I mean, literally. And I just tried to tell him again that I could not do this on my own. I'm from Germany. I was living in California at the time, and I had nobody around that I could just hand the kids off. And he was super overwhelmed too, because, you know, he had 2 small kids at home and had to go to work and all of this. And he just said to me, well, you wanted to be a mother. And with him saying that, something just snapped inside of me. And I had a breakdown. I broke down. My soul was hovering somewhere under the ceiling. I had a total out of body experience. And then, you know, everything happened really quick. So I don't know how long I actually was hovering under the ceiling. But I do remember seeing my kids on top of my body crying and not understanding what was going on and being really scared. And then a voice just said, your work isn't done. And I was back in my body. And for 5 days, I was suspended in a complete state of clarity. You know, others might call it enlightenment, but it was just really, I could see how I was being with my energy and where I was allowing my energy to go to, how I was either in allowing negativity to come in or positivity. And I could also see there was a moment where I really understood manifesting and understood that everything that we want is already here, because something came into my life the moment I thought of it. So I could see how it actually came in and then I thought of it. So it was the same moment. And so it made, you know, all the manifesting talk that we hear, that we think are platitudes, like, what you want wants you, and what everything that you want is already here, and those things. I mean, I knew it mentally, but I didn't understand it. And in those 5 days, I was one with the energy. That's the, you know,
like
that's the best
things just started happening. What's an example of something you thought about and it just showed up?
Yeah. Like, you know, the moment I would think of something, the thing was delivered, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
And at what point?
So I could see how they were connected.
At what point did you kind of go, okay, this is reliable. Like, this is really happening, that I'm thinking these things and they're showing up.
Well, basically what happened then, after day 5, I got into a big fight with my ex-husband, and then the state ended. And ever since, you know, I've been working on refining methods to get myself into a space. What I learned from being in that state is basically that things come into your life and you're really have no resistance toward the thing that you want, right? If you just have a yes, like you're at a buffet and you're like, yes, I like this bread kind of thing, right? Just really clear on what you want.
Yeah.
And then the other part is when you energetically are in a harmonious state, and there's reasons why we aren't. And so part of the work that I do with women is a lot on letting go around shame and guilt. Shame and guilt are very low vibrational frequency.
So I think it's super cool that you got that 5 days to experience being in that flow. And
it was really nice.
I love that you said, and now, you know, that you're dedicated to helping find tools and ways for women to get into that sense of flow. Does that feel like that was kind of a direction setting for you with your career?
Yes, my brand, my current brand is Women in the Flow. So for sure, like what I, you know, what I and my clients are after, you know, we all have accomplished a level of success, but what we're after is really a state of just bliss and joy and abundance, right? So where we can have it all in a sense, you know, obviously we can't have it all in a sense that we can have everything, but having it all means different things for everybody, but a state where we feel good, feel loved, have money, are of service, and feel replenished at the end of the day. Right.
That's
and
awesome.
Happy.
Yeah. So I want to talk about retreats a little bit, and then I'm going to come back and talk about pleasure and pleasure IQ. Because flow is something.
One of my main tools is family constellations. And I have found that when people have the opportunity to get out of their normal everyday environment, now it's one thing to just do a session with somebody. It's a totally different for them to go away and have a completely different experience, and also just allow themselves to completely let go and go really deep. It's much easier when you know you're in a space where you can do that and where you're held, than if you have to go back to your everyday, everything every day. Most of my clients are mothers, so and wives, and it's nice when you can just get away and just do your work.
Yes. Talk about family constellation work. I've just recently learned about it, and it sounds amazing, and it sounds like it lends itself so well to the live immersion experience.
Yeah. So the best way I can describe it is really, it's a modality that allows you to other people representing things for you. So let's just say, the reason why you're working really hard and not allowing yourself to have a financial breakthrough, with ease, could be because in your family, everybody was hardworking, and subconsciously you don't believe that you deserve it better, right? So in a constellation, other people would represent members of your family, and what it does is it helps to make whatever. Yeah, I mean, not just live in a person, a group in general. This work is super powerful. I was anorexic and bulimic from 10 till 20, and when you have an addiction for that long, you're really pretty much written off. My chances of recovery were at 5%.
Wow.
And I had I tried everything. I really tried everything. And I had one session and I was completely healed. So it's mega powerful.
Wow.
Whether you do it online, I do it over the phone with people, I do it over Zoom. But obviously when you go to a retreat, there's more that you bring home, connections. You have more time to work on things. Obviously you have time to really embody something different and bring that back. Yeah. And then with my retreats, I always do have some follow-up support so that people can actually transition successfully back into reality.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that. So often we go and it might be life-changing, but you go back into the old environment and all of those things are still there that were there when you left.
Yeah, for me, mostly actually my retreats are part of, a longer program. So people work with me for 9 months, and during that 9 months, they come to do the deeper work during the retreats. And so they journey as a group together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. So tell me about pleasure IQ. How did you come up with that? Why did you choose to focus in the area of pleasure? And, tell us just a little bit about how that journey's been for you.
Yeah. So I realized that I really hadn't allowed myself a lot of pleasure at all. And that's why I had gotten to the state that I had gotten myself into. Because what Spirit basically told me was, you have to go into pursuit of pleasure. The words were pursuit of pleasure. It wasn't pleasure IQ, it was pursuit of pleasure. And so to me, that meant, okay, I have to learn to make decisions based on what feels right and good to me.
Yes.
And my definition of pleasure IQ now, several years later, is someone's ability to allow pleasure in all areas of your life. So your level of ability to allow pleasure in all areas of your life. And I do believe that we all need a new kind of intelligence, which is pleasure intelligence, if we do really want to live, our full potential, basically the best life that we can live. And the pleasure IQ, my book and my system is basically a 4-step system that helps people to release shame and guilt, integrate the feminine and masculine, because that has a lot to do with your own energy and how in harmony you are within yourself and your energetic unit. And then the third part is to really connect to your core creative sexual energy. A lot of us have things in that area that keep us from fully expressing. And then the fourth step is just learning how to maintain a high vibrational state.
Awesome. Can we just talk about each of those things?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your philosophy on releasing shame and guilt?
So the thing with shame and guilt is that they're not feelings like anger or sadness, right? They are actually, I don't even know what they are. They're just really not good for us. And so the first thing with releasing shame and guilt is to actually spot it when you are in a state of shame and guilt, and you can't do that. Well, let me just backtrack. We can't see what's in our subconscious, but we can see our results, right? Our results tell us kind of what we're holding in our subconscious. Yeah. And so when we are blaming or needing to find fault or needing to find excuses or mostly those things, we can actually assume that somehow we are holding, the reason why we have the need to do so is because we feel unconsciously shameful or guilty. And there would not be a reason for us to do those behaviors. And so
do you think that's true across the board? That anytime we're not getting a result we want, somewhere there's shame and guilt?
No, when you so the result is when you observe yourself blaming something, a person, a circumstance, or yourself, that would be the result, right? The behavior that you can observe is actually blaming something. Whenever that happens, that is a sign that now you're in an experience of subconscious shame and guilt, because if you didn't, you wouldn't have the need to blame, or like, we don't feel shame or guilt. It's not a feeling like sadness or fear.
Right.
So the only way we can spot it is by realizing we're blaming.
That's awesome. Yeah. So if we're not getting a result, but we're in full responsibility for it, that's one thing. But the moment you're pointing to the circumstance or the person, that's when
you can just say, okay, oh man, I'm blaming right now. It must mean that I am right now experiencing subconscious shame and guilt. So that's the first step. And the second step is to actually then go back to your body and really focus on the sensation in your body, because the negative energy is stuck in your body, right? The negative imprint that's causing you to respond in the way that you are with blame, with a toxic way, basically, not a high vibrational way. And then we have to go back to the body actually and feel through the sensation, almost like to cleanse out our system, our nervous system. And that's how we start to become of higher vibration, by using the negative imprints and transforming them and learning how to transform them into positive energy. Does that make sense? It's almost like alchemy, or it is alchemy, actually. Yeah, you're using your body for the process.
And when you say using your body, what's your approach to that?
Say again?
When you say you're using your body, so I do a lot of work with feeling the body sensation. Where is that? And with, using the body to discover what the belief is really about. But I feel like you have a unique way of approaching it or talking about it that I would love to know more about.
It's actually not so much about discovering the belief. It's just really staying with the sensation. So, because imagine your house or your body is a house, and these negative imprints are like sludge that's gotten stuck in the sewer system that you're normally not aware of. And by you recognizing that you're blaming, you actually have an opportunity to get a sense of where in your sewer system this negative energy, the sludge, is sitting. And then by putting your attention on that spot in your physical body, that's how you actually clean out the sludge. Does that make any sense? I know it's a little...
No, it makes
complex, but it's once you start learning how to do this, it's very simple and very effective.
So you said it. You said stay with the sensation, and
don't go back into your head and try to figure it out. Just really, sense it by using your senses, right? Using your body to really sense it completely through. And usually it starts, moving around and changing, and then if you really do it right, you will have a feeling of heat leaving your body, literally, like you transform this thing into gas and it leaves your system, and then you're of higher vibration.
One of my favorite quotes is, a human being can't accept a part of themselves that we haven't shared with another human being and have validated rather than violated. And what I feel in that is it's almost like you're validating the physical sensation. Like, hey, yeah, you're here. I feel you. I hear you. I'm not trying to stuff you down or ignore you or pretend you don't exist.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. And then talk a little bit about the second step. I wrote down integrate.
Integrate the feminine and the masculine. So from the family
favorite topic for me. I'm in a same-sex marriage, so we talk about this a fair amount of, where we're in our masculine and feminine and creating the contrast, right? The polarity.
Yeah. So one of you probably feels better naturally in the masculine, and one of you feels better naturally in the feminine, I'm guessing. And so I'm a woman who likes men, so I'm always talking from my perspective that there's other people obviously, but for me as a more feminine essence woman, for me to be balanced and for other women to feel like their essence is more feminine, for us to be balanced actually doesn't mean to be 50-50. It means for me to learn to predominantly live in my feminine essence, and then to be in the masculine when I really need it. And in order to do so, for most of us, we have to completely relearn how to communicate and be in relationship. And we also have to learn about these energies, taught about it. And then on a deeper level, we all come from the feminine and the masculine lineage, right? We all come through our ancestors, the ancestors of our mother and the ancestors of our father. And so nothing can actually be created without both. We need the feminine and the masculine principle for anything to be created. And so I was created from the masculine and the feminine. And as long as I have a problem either with my literal dad or that family lineage, or with my mother or that family lineage, I will not be able to be free and be in a harmonious state, and therefore things will not flow as easily and gracefully as if I am. Right? And so when we come to the retreat, we do a lot of work on our lineages, for example, and make sure we're all not carrying stuff for other people, or there's many things that we do unconsciously with our ancestors and for our ancestors and because of our ancestors. And
that's really cool. So talk about, I want to just repeat what you said and get a little more on that. So balance is not 50-50. It's being in your dominant state and being prepared to use the other as needed. So, you work with women who are probably grappling with a lot of masculine and get it done and take charge, in their careers. So how do you see that show up?
Burnout. A lot of people, or a lot of women, if they are too much in their masculine, they will end up, and it's not what they are naturally, they will end up burnout and exhaustion and unhappy marriages, and they might end with a lot of money, but not full.
And why do you think that we tend to go into the masculine?
I think it's just cultural. It feels safer. The masculine seems to be stronger. We're living we have been living in a paradigm where the masculine was equated with power, and feminine power is very different than masculine power, but we don't quite know what that is yet. A lot of us, we're just learning. Yeah.
So it feels stronger, so it feels safer.
Yeah.
And I think in business, especially, so many of the role models, obviously the lineage is masculine, that it's like the formulas are masculine. This is the way to get things done. This is how to manage a project. This is how to run a business. And it's predominantly masculine.
Yeah, so we need to find new ways and new role models and for me, it felt very risky to completely, just not do and focus on being and put all my cards in the basket, basically. But I had to, because my body did not have, I would have sicker and sicker if I would have done the other way.
Yeah. Talk about that riskiness. And I go back and forth in it myself.
Yeah.
You said to focus on being rather than the doing. And I think the women that follow me, they know this at a core level, that being is more, impactful than doing, that our energy sets the tone for everything. Yet to actually, we just had this conversation in my client group today, to actually take the time to nourish and nurture and relax and trust that this is part of my work as a leader it does feel risky.
Yeah. Because what if you're wrong? Like, what if, if you really, what if the way is through hard work? But it's just the ego to keep us safe. To the ego, what's known is safe. Right? So it's known that we'll work hard. There's certain, also the ego is separate. Pretend you're doing it on your own, and we never manifest anything. Everything's already here, and we either align ourselves with it or, right? But the ego is closer, and obviously it serves its purpose. But it's risky when we just listen to it and try to make all the decisions.
Yes. You said, what if we're wrong? What if the way really is hard work? So that's playing out there somewhere for people.
Yeah, I think the ego is always telling you, well, you're not doing enough. You just got to do more, and because that was the way for many, generations.
Yes.
So it's the known, it's the safe. It's again safe, right? A lot of our subconscious systems we safe.
Yeah. What's an example? I know you've worked with lots of women to get free from this. What's an example or a story of someone who took the risk to actually maybe work less, follow their pleasure more, and it made a surprising outcome?
Well, for most of my clients, so the way I look at life is that everything that we want is already here. It's just available to us at different levels. And the best for us with the best clients and the best everything is, I call it level 6, because peace vibrates at the level of 600. And so there is clients for us to be had at any level. The best ones, the ones that we feel have the most fun and the most money and everything, are level 6. And I call these people the soulmate clients. And I've developed a process to tap into who these people are at that level. And so for my clients that can embrace their soulmate clients and really allow themselves to relax and work with their energy until they have them, they'll have amazing results. They'll go from, one of my nicest stories is one of my clients she had a 5-month-old baby. She was sleep deprived. She had an agency before and was working really, really hard and a lot of hours. She made $30,000 already a month, I think, but she was working really, really hard and she didn't want to do it anymore. It was not her soul calling and so forth. And her thing was really to do different work, like more soul branding work at a different level. And so using the Pleasure Group principles and really working with her energy, within like 2 months, she had 3 15K clients, within like a week. Working an hour a week with them, for example, all while still having the baby and not working hard, for example.
And what's your advice when people are in that fear, right? When you take the leap of faith and you're like, is this really going to work? What's your advice for people there?
Have a mentor that can help you stay the course. Honestly.
Yeah. In those moments when you're doubting. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the third step was around creativity and the fourth was around high vibration. Yeah.
The third step is around your sexuality. So we all are actually wired to run on much higher energy than we currently are. And so I've been initiated in a way to help the body remember what these pathways are. and they have to do with sexual energy and allowing ourselves to have that energy. It has nothing to do with actual, having sex with a partner or anything like that. It just has to do with you, your nervous system, your energy system, and your body remembering that it's actually wired to hold and run on much higher frequencies than it is currently. Yeah.
So bringing that in, it sounds like, is a step toward the fourth step, which is the higher vibration.
Yeah. And then, to keep a higher vibration, really, it starts with taking care of your body while eating right. And that's different for everybody, right? What that means at different stages. Sleeping well, taking good care of yourself, having a creative outlet, doing things, knowing what feels good to you and making space and time for that. And then there are some energetic practices that I teach also, energy work that people can do in themselves to help themselves stay in a better feeling space.
Awesome. What's your morning routine? Do you recommend a specific morning routine for energy cultivation?
Yes, so my morning routine, it's changed over the years, but one thing I always do is I kind of scan my body, kind of first thing when I wake up in the morning. I scan my body and I see if there's any kind of negative lumps anywhere, emotionally feeling kind of feeling. And then I do the sensing. I use that throughout the day, and because it's really one of the fastest way I know how to get myself into a better space vibrationally. And so that's how I start my day. And then sometimes I journal. I always light a candle and set the intention for the day. Yeah.
That's
I
an
do different
amazing
things.
tool.
Yeah. And that's actually on my website, the free giveaway. We'll take people through it so they can really practice it in depth.
Oh, nice.
It takes a little practice. Yeah.
And what's the URL for that?
It's Women in the Flow.
Awesome. Great. So they can go actually download, and is it like a little meditation to walk through that? A guided visualization? I love it. Beautiful. So I'm curious, because I get the sense you're someone that really is always improving your tools and, studying and growing and feeling into where we're going. What do you think is the future of transformation? Where do you think we're going as leaders, impacting this kind of conversation on the planet that for me feels like it's coming to a head, where the suppressed energies are being seen and heard, and we've got all this conflict going. What do you see our role as transformational leaders going forward?
It's a good question. I mean, for me, I just know that I always work or tend to be in the best state possible, to be peaceful so I can really hear and communicate really well. So definitely for me, it's all around like learning to communicate better. I'm an ego, so my emotions are very, very strong. So part of my journey is to really learn how to, not suppress my emotions, but deal with my emotions and then be able to be heard and communicate and create solutions that work for everyone. I really love Gay and Katie Hendricks, and their basis for their relationship is that they believe that there is a solution for everybody that works for everybody. And sometimes it takes a little time, and it takes being willing, and it takes being able to work through your fears and so forth. So that's where my work is, and where I'm hoping to gain mastery so I can be of better service.
Yeah, that feels like a really great skill. I've been in a lot of conversations about like whether to stay in your bubble of high consciousness and high vibration and love and light, or whether to go out in the world in places where maybe that isn't the conversation, because that's where we really can make more of an impact. And communication feels like a key to that.
Yeah. I mean, some people, it's just because of different levels of consciousness, they cannot hear you or understand you if you're not talking at their level, right? So it's really important to know and not be offended.
Yeah.
For example,
not be offended, to be able to be with.
So that you can still keep reaching them in some way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a continual journey for me. I feel like it's a journey that starts in my home of not being offended.
Yeah.
Like,
of course.
what? You started the laundry but didn't finish it, and you just expect me to deal with this pile? What? Like that. That's a good place to start.
Yeah, it starts there for sure.
Awesome. So do you have another retreat coming up that you'd like to share about?
Yeah, I have a Pleasure IQ retreat in October, which is for 4 days,
Awesome.
basically taking women through the steps, and it's all inclusive here in the Mayan Riviera. So if anybody has an interest, they can reach out to me and we can talk about it.
Awesome. And is that on your website?
No, it's through a conversation with me. Okay. People can request what I've sent you. I have a brochure basically that people can request, and then have a conversation.
Great. So if they want to get more engaged in your community, actually, let me pull up the Women in Flow. In Flow or in the Flow? In the Flow.
On the website, they can join my free Facebook group. The best way to connect with me is in my free Facebook group, which is Women in the Flow also. I'm in there daily. I do daily energy work in my morning that people can join me. And that's one of my morning practices, actually.
Oh, that's great. Beautiful. And then the people who are feeling called or who feel right go through an application process with you.
Yeah, they can just message me and then I'll set up.
Beautiful. So if you could give a piece of advice for people on pleasure, a parting kind of wisdom, what would that be, Carolin?
Just really make it a priority, because like I said, we don't have power over other people or other things around us, but we do have power where we put our energy, and we can choose to go in the direction of the things that feel good to us. Like I believe that the universe gives us the breadcrumbs and to really living our fulfilled life, and the breadcrumbs are the things that feel good. Like if we follow that, we end up in a better place for sure. It's a sign that you're in alignment.
Yeah. It seems like it can be tempting to go feel like, oh, if it's not hard, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But you're saying, no, go the other route.
Yeah. I mean, unless the hard feels good, it could be good feeling to if that feels good, then there's nothing wrong with it, but just follow what your heart really wants, where you have a yes.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been super fun for me. I'm going to go get your download over at womenintheflow.com. I love that idea of practicing that every morning, actually. Where is, the energy feeling stuck and being with it? Yeah. A huge takeaway. Thank you.
Awesome. Good.
All right. Carolin, I'm just delighted to connect with you. I'm so happy Letitia connected us, and I'm sure we will meet in person in the future.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Retreat and Grow Rich, the podcast. If so, please share your experience and spread the word. Also, please subscribe over on iTunes and leave us a fabulous review. It makes a big difference in helping to get the word out. And you can join me in my mission to normalize transformation on the planet, one intimate retreat at a time. You can find show notes from this and all of our episodes over at alignedentrepreneurs.com/podcast. If you'd like to understand the inner workings of my retreat-based business model and build your confidence in your retreat dreams, you can grab my book, Retreat and Grow Rich, over on Amazon. It's the entrepreneur's guide to powerful, profitable retreats. If you've been wanting to incorporate transformational retreats into your fabulous business model, but you're not quite sure where to start, hop on over to retreatleaderquiz.com. In this short 10-question quiz, you will receive your personalized results, one of 6 retreat leader archetypes that will show you what your strengths are as a retreat leader, the pitfalls to look out for, and even give you a sample agenda that you can take and make your own. Again, that's at retreatleaderquiz.com.